Hello, good morning. It is 9:46. I've been up since like 8:30, I think. I am moving my TBR around a little bit. I wanted to try to, I don't know, just like adjust things a little bit because I realized that maybe I have too many large volumes for the holiday season. I am going to be getting rid of The Tiger's Daughter. I'm actually going to, because I don't want to rush through that book, because my friend who read it, who recommended it to me, said that it was really heavy. You know, I've heard it's a really, really heavy book, and I'm not really in the mood for really heavy right now. I feel a slump coming on, and I want to try to make sure that I don't screw myself. So I'm changing my TBR a little bit. What I'm going to be reading for the LGBT portion of this, I'm actually going to be, I showed you guys this in yesterday's vlog. I Hear the Sunspot Limit, the first volume of this. Mostly okay, look, I'm not gonna lie. The reason why I moved this around so much is because I really, really wanted to read this. I want to read Tiger's Daughter, obviously, and that does have LGBT rep in it. I believe the main character is a lesbian, but I wanted to change this because I really, really want to read this. And then for the diversity portion of this, I'm going to be reading the first chapters right now of both of these. Wow, okay, so yesterday when I talked about this first book, I said I didn't know what it was a retelling of. It totally says a Pride and Prejudice remix on the front of it. Anyway, today I'm going to be reading the first chapter of Pride, first 2 chapters maybe, depending on how short the first one is, and seeing if this is the one I want to add for diversity, because this is an African American book. As you guys saw, I talked about it in the vlog yesterday in the African American section of my library. So I'm going to be reading a chapter or 2 of that and seeing, and A Blade So Black. So I'm going to read 2 chapters of this as well right now and see which one of these I want to do for the diversity portion of this instead. Let's see, page-wise, it is, oh my god, LL McKinney is gorgeous! Oh, look at how pretty she is. Oh my god, she's hella pretty. I'm sorry, I think she's gorgeous. Anyway, so this is, let's see, 366 pages. I'm actually leaning more towards this because she's an active member of the Kidlit community, a poet, and a writer. She's an advocate for equality, inclusion, in publishing, and the creator of the hashtag What Women of Color Writers Here. She's spent time in the slush by serving as a reader for agents and participating as a judge in various online writing contests. So I like that she makes a point of having diversity in her writing, so I'm leaning more towards this one, but I really want to read Pride too. Let's see how many pages this one is. Oh, she's pretty too. Damn. Why is everyone so gorgeous? Also, I wish I could rock yellow as much as she does. Alright, let's see. She was born in Haiti, holds an MFA in writing for children and young adults from Vermont College of Fine Arts. Damn. Alright, let's see. This one is how many pages? Oh, nope, that's the acknowledgements. Hello. This one is only 289 pages. Oh, this is tough. So, I might just end up reading both of them. I'm gonna end up reading both of them eventually, but I'm gonna read 2 chapters of each of these right now and see which one I want to carry on into the readathon. Today my goal is to finish Muse of Nightmares. I read a little bit last night. I read about I am at page 160, so pretty far into it. But if neither of those books work out, what I'm going to try to read is Afar. Afar is the graphic novel that I showed you guys yesterday that I checked out. I'm going to try to read this for the diversity portion. If the other 2, I don't really want to read them, if say they're just so awful in the first 2 chapters, which obviously I don't see happening, I'm going to try to read this anyway, shortly, probably today or tomorrow. But so far, I Hear the Sunspot for my LGBT Q+, and then I have A Blade So Black and Pride. So I'm going to read both first chapters of these, and I will get back to you guys in a second and let you know which one I'm going to be carrying on into the readathon. I may start trying to read one of these today while I am reading Muse of Nightmares, just to see how much I can get done today. My husband also has like a 300-page book that he needs to read today. It's actually really nice. My husband reads as much as I do. Or he used to, but if you guys have been following me for a long time, you'll know just from the talks that him and I have had on my channel together that he used to read a ton, and then when he was in the military, he didn't really have time to read. And when he got out of the military, he just couldn't, it felt like a waste of time, I think, for him to sit down and take the time to read a book. So he would listen to audiobooks when he worked at the post office and, you know, when he was driving. And so I used to be one of those people that judge people for audiobooks. And then I, you know, talking to him about wanting to experience books and, you know, how it does take concentration and it does take time, and it is just as much reading as it is if you had a physical book, and then, you know, having friends who primarily read audiobooks. And I just think that we need to just stop trying to separate everybody. There's so much separation already in our world that we don't need to also be separating each other based on what we do or don't read. Like, it's just so fucking stupid to me. But he reads pretty fast, and he and I are going to just have a day where we just sit down and read, because tomorrow's Thanksgiving, and cringe, I don't like Thanksgiving a whole lot. But I am excited to see my family. We're actually just gonna go out for dinner. But right now, I'm gonna stop rambling and get to reading the first 2 chapters of both of these books. So I will be back in what feels like 2 seconds to you guys and let you know what I am thinking about them. So I'm back with an update. It's much later. It is 4:04 p.m. because my husband came home, and then, well, I was reading the chapters and then my husband came home, and then I was sitting on the couch talking to him, and I got cuddly and warm and fell asleep. Because, fun fact about me, if I get cuddly and warm, I'm gonna fall asleep. So I have some reading updates and my decision on which one of these 2 books I'm going to be reading. So A Blade So Black is obviously an Alice in Wonderland retelling. The first chapter, our main character Alice is running away from the school, I believe, that she's in, because her father has just died, and she runs down an alleyway and she is attacked by this beast that is like a wolf but also kind of like a ghost. He like ripples, he's not a real wolf, and a man comes out and stabs him, or a young boy. And he has like a sword, and she's like, "Where are you from?" after he saves her, and he's like, "I shouldn't tell you because you wouldn't believe me, but I'm gonna tell you anyway." So obviously an Alice in Wonderland retelling, very good. I will be reading that eventually, but I'm going to be reading Pride. Pride is about a family that follows Zuri. She is one of 5 girls, and she lives with her, so far there's 3 sisters that she lives with, or there might be 4 sisters that she lives with, and no, 3 sisters, twins and another younger sister, and then her, and then her older sister went away to college, but they live in Brooklyn, I believe. I think they mentioned they live in Brooklyn. They have Afro-Latina roots, and she lives in a part of Brooklyn that is being gentrified, which is when people buy up businesses and buildings around to refurbish them, essentially to sell them for more, which brings up the property value in the neighborhoods, but is not always good for the culture of the neighborhood. They're actually doing that in my neighborhood right now, and it's a very interesting process. I don't know how to feel about it, but I mean, I grew up over here, so I know what the neighborhoods used to look like, and they are quite a bit more run down than they used to be. There's a lot of abandoned houses. There's a lot of houses that were previously like drug houses. Like there's a house 3 down from me that is completely boarded up because about 4 or 5 months ago, a man got busted making some kind of drug out of it, and they had to shut down the house. They started renovating it probably like 3 days ago. But they're trying to keep the businesses that are already owned and still running in the places that they are, but the problem with that is it still makes property value go up. So their rent that they may pay if they don't own the building could go up anyway. So it's a very tricky situation. You don't want to run the culture out of the community, but I can understand wanting to kind of build it up. I live in a very expensive city. Housing here is pretty cheap, but like for our house we pay about $1,200 a month for the house that we live in. When we lived in California, we had a tiny 2-bedroom house, or 2-bedroom apartment, and we paid $1,200 there. So it just depends on where you live, but you know, it's a valid worry to worry about the culture being run out and property going up, and you know, rent going up, and it's kind of a sticky situation. But I'm really liking this book because at the beginning of the book, they are obviously an Afro-Latina family, and they place bets on who's buying the house across the street. The house across the street that they live in has it's like a huge like mini mansion essentially, and they were placing bets on whether it was a young white couple that was moving in or a rich black family that was moving in, and it's a rich black family, or what you assume from the first chapter is a rich black family because they can afford it. So far I really like this. I think this is what I'm going to be reading. I like the boys in that family. You only really get to interact with them for like, you know, 10 pages or so, but you get the sense that one of them is very unhappy about leaving upstate New York, and the other one seems a little more okay with it. Like, he seems like he'd be more down to earth. I've not read Pride and Prejudice before, so I think this is the one that I'm going to go with. This is the one that I'm most excited to read, although I will be reading A Blade So Black eventually because it also sounds really cool. And then while I was in between napping and like just hanging out with my husband, I did read I Hear the Sunspot Limit, and I really liked this. I ended up giving it 4 stars. It still follows the same boys, and it follows after they kind of like start to fall in love. So it does follow the same timeline. I liked this one a lot. I liked the development on their relationship. I liked the struggles that I guess any new relationship goes through, like, are we dating, aren't we dating? The main character that's standing right here, he struggles a lot with their not sexual relationship, but like, he goes to kiss him sometimes and he's a little bit weirded out by it. He doesn't want to be kissed in public. He, you know, at one point in time they talk about taking their relationship further, and he kind of struggles with that. So I feel like it's very realistic. The only thing I didn't like about this is there's so many new characters. So many new characters. Or not even like new, some of them have been around for a while, but their stories are added onto a little bit, and I feel like it was kind of too much for the story at the same time. But I did still really enjoy it because I do already have a backstory on a lot of the characters. It's just the few that they introduced that it kind of bogged it down a little bit. So 4 stars. I did really like it. I still like my boys. Right now we're getting ready to watch 5 centimeters per second, I think is what it's called. And then for the rest of the night, I'm going to try to read a lot of Pride, and I'm going to try to also read Afar. I was talking to Jessie from Bow Ties and Books, and they also borrowed this from the library. I think they're going to be reading it next month, and they also got A Blade So Black. So maybe I can buddy read one of these with them. I don't know, but I'm excited to get to them. I'll probably read Afar now and then try to read A Blade So Black with them next month. But that is going to be it for this update. I'm going to go watch some anime, and I'm going to try to read a lot of Pride because so far I really like it. Even though I'm like whole 10 pages in, but it is more of a contemporary, which I'm kind of in the mood for, which I'm not often in the mood for. Let's see how many pages I read. The first chapter is pretty long. It's 13 pages, so really enjoyable so far. And I know that it did just come out. I think it was in like an Owl Crate or a Fairy Loot or something recently. I imagine it was probably in Owl Crate because Owl Crate does contemporary. I don't think Fairy Loot does. But either way, so far, I'm really liking it, and it's gorgeous. I wish I could take the dust jacket off all the way, but they have the characters in there. I'm assuming that's Zuri and one of the boys, but it's just so gorgeous. We'll see. I will let you know what I think of it in a little bit when I get a little bit more of it read. So it is super late. I thought it would be time to check in, call it a night. I have an early dinner with my parents tomorrow. I might try to vlog it, I might not. I'm not at the comfortable stage where I can like have people on camera, be comfortable with myself and like people looking. And we're going to a nice restaurant for dinner. We decided to do Thanksgiving at a restaurant because none of us wanted to cook. And last year my parents cooked and brought food over to our house. But I think we're just gonna go out. So it's gonna be my adopted parents, my husband, and my aunt. And then we're going to his parents afterwards. So I don't know how much reading I'm going to get done tomorrow. I'm going to try to vlog. I love my families, so I'm really excited. But checking in on the book. I am on chapter 10, which is page 92 of Pride. I love this book. If I could have sat down and read it all in one day, I absolutely would have. But I'm trying to also spend time with my husband and my family. But this is definitely a book I feel like you could binge in one day. I love Zuri. I love her as a main character. She's super sassy, really down to earth, but also down to like her roots. They live in a big apartment building that I think is just a house they have made into a bunch of different apartments. I really love all the characters as well. Her parents have this super adorable love story. She has like this super, like, she has a lot of pride in where she lives, where she's from, and dealing with like the gentrification of her neighborhood. And they do address the property does go up and stuff, which I was wondering if they were going to address that in this. But I love it. I love her sisters, especially her little sisters. They add like this cuteness to the story, but they're also kind of sassy like she is because of the family that they're from. I'm just really liking it so far. I want to finish it tomorrow. I truly do, because I want to know what happens. There's the 2 boys that move across the street. They are, one of them is really nice and like wants to learn about the neighborhood, like I said earlier, and the other one, who I think is interested in Zuri, does not want to know. He just like doesn't care. But I think he's kind of starting to warm up to her. But she's actually on a date right now with a boy named Warren from her neighborhood, and he is from like the projects, is, you know, what she calls them. I don't know like where in New York especially that is, but she but he goes to a predominantly white school. It's like a private school that he got into basically on a scholarship. But she's really impressed because he's from her neighborhood, but like has dreams and aspirations and goals, which is exactly what she wants. But for some reason, I don't think she's gonna end up with him. I feel like he might be too perfect for her, and she's gonna end up with a kid that she doesn't want to be with, the one that she doesn't like. What's his name? Ainsley is one of the brothers, and Darius is the other one. And I think Darius, the one who doesn't want to know about any of their culture, is gonna be the one that she ends up with. But so far, I'm really liking it. It's actually kind of nice that the rich family that moved in is also black, because it's like, what I like about this book, it was jarring at first, but they point out when people are white, they're like, a white boy, or you know, the white people that moved in are white or whatever. And I realized, like, it's so jarring to me because this is from an African American point of view, and so often I read things from just a white point of view that I never noticed that. And I'm sure we do it too, like when white authors are writing about African American characters, I'm sure they say black or brown skin or like whatever, they point it out. But it just shows me that I need to read more from, like, more diverse reads, like not from my perspective. And I can understand why people want more diversity and want, like, I've always thought it was important, but I can see why it's very different, because it's like, I don't know, like if I'm noticing like, oh, they're saying like white people, I imagine it's really hard to read a book and then them constantly being like the brown skinned person, you know, the person with like the curly hair, you know what I mean? Like not so obvious pointing out that that person is black. So I imagine it's really nice to read this. If you guys haven't read this, I would recommend it. It's actually a pretty cute contemporary, but it has a little bit more to it because Zuri is trying to get into colleges, and she's trying to go to an Afrocentric school as well. And she's currently writing like her entry to college, and what she's writing about is how to kind of build up her neighborhood in the face of what's happening and like maintaining their culture and stuff. But the cool part about this is at certain points when she's writing it, instead of writing it like she's supposed to be writing it, she writes it in poetry, which if I'm pretty sure, no, it's not her. I think the author wrote A Blade So Black is also a poet, but the poetry that she writes in this is really good. And it kind of makes you think. So far I would really recommend this. I'll let you know my full thoughts when I do finish it. But that is going to be the plan for tomorrow. I'm going to be bringing this with me in my bag and seeing what I can read and when I can read it. But it is 12:06 in the morning. I need to edit this vlog because I need to have it up for you guys for tomorrow so that I don't have to worry about it during the day. And so it's up at like a reasonable hour and I can like respond to your comments throughout the day. When I go to my in-laws' house though, there is no internet. I mean, there's internet, but it's like not real internet. So I won't be able to respond to everything. So if I'm a little bit silent today, as you are seeing this, that is why. But just know that I love you and I will try to respond to comments when I get home. But I hope you guys had a good day today, and I will see you in my video tomorrow.